Welcome to another week of Top Crop Live Watch Party. We're here with Brandon Deal, Russell Hedrick, Perry Galloway, and my name is Seth Wood, producer and director here at Top Crop TV. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing great.
The rush is on for us. I don't know about you guys. Perry, are you guys going to get really cold again this coming week?
I don't know about really cold. It's not ideal to plant. I know we got a day or two in the 30s at night, but right now it's 80 degrees right now. It's really nice. It'll fool you.
Oh, I know, and it's like we were talking to someone today, and they were holding up planting corn, and that was South Georgia because of the cold.
Yeah, maybe I need to look a little closer. But I asked yesterday, and I know we had a couple of days. It's gonna be in the the mid and upper 30s next week.
80s one day and 30s the next. Somebody needs to get Mother Nature some bipolar meds better than what she's got.
I got a neighbor that's done put 800 acres of corn in the ground here in this county.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. They've already planted like 75% of all their corn acres. And we're calling for freezing temperatures here in about 10, 12 days.
Wow. Russell, what are you doing? What are you doing at this moment?
I've been clearing debris off of fields. We've got 2 more piles to clear off of this farm, and then we got to move all the equipment. And we got 1 more farm with a lot of washout debris on it to clear off, and we'll be ready to plant.
Awesome. Perry, how are you guys looking with everything right now?
Well, I'm looking at the weather right now. So we're supposed to be 36 on the 20th, or next Tuesday. Then after that, it looks pretty good, 70s and 50s. So we're doing a lot. We're kind of wet. We're not too bad. We're just, I would say, damp, and we're doing some down still, getting ready for all our corns. Our ground's pretty much ready. We got cotton ground we're working on now.
Now, here's the funny thing, Perry. Russell, they're showing that we're not going to get below 40 degrees next week.
Well, who was talking about freezing in South Georgia?
The boys down around Tifton.
How does that happen now?
I wish I knew.
Perry, you still got about 3 weeks left, you think, before planting?
I think, based on this forecast, we're probably 2 weeks now. Well, yeah, that'll put us about the end of March, yeah.
And that'll be till you start. It takes you a little bit once you get going, I bet.
Yeah, hopefully not. Usually we're pretty quick if we get going.
Perry, what's y'all soil temperature looking right now?
Well, I could not tell you.
Russell, have you checked yours to see what it was?
Yeah, one of my ground probes has got me at 62 degrees in the top 4.
Yeah. I think we're at 64, 65.
Right now we're at 10 o'clock in the morning.
That's daily average.
What time of day?
We took ours yesterday about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we were at that temperature at 11 o'clock.
Wow. That's warm enough.
Yeah, thank goodness they backed down on the amount of rain we were getting. They're saying y'all are going to get, Perry, aren't y'all going to get like 2 inches?
Well, see, we were supposed to get a storm last night. Not a lot, and the wind did blow hard. Depending on where you were, we got from nothing to a couple tenths. I had one farm got 7 tenths, but we're not working on that one yet. But tomorrow night, we're supposed to get some bad stuff. Potential for bad, tornadoes and all that stuff. I hadn't seen it. Now, the last rain amount I saw was yesterday, was just 3 or 4, maybe it was ½ inch. It wasn't too bad. I hadn't seen any 2-inch stuff. If we get 2 inches, yes, Seth, we're definitely 10 days, 2 weeks out.
Oh, now with us, we're not as bad. We're a very sandy soil, so we can.
Well, I'm stretching that a little bit because we're That definitely will slow us down because we're not dry. We're not really completely dry now. I had a little bit of standing water this morning, but this afternoon we were able to finish or keep going on some burn down.
Now, Russell, have you already got your chicken litter out?
No, we're just now getting it out of the houses. They'll probably start putting it out next week if they can. They're calling for about an inch of rain over the weekend. We'll see how much we actually get, but we'll probably be getting it out in the next 7 to 10 days. I ain't in no hurry. I'm going to start planting beans April 1st to the 15th is when we'll start, and we'll do all our beans and then move to corn.
See, you're behind. We're just the opposite. We're corn first, peanuts, and then beans.
Well, that's what mostly everybody is here, but I can tell you now, if you're planting beans in May, best I've ever seen county average is 60, 65 bushels. You're trying to get 80 plus bushel beans, you better be planting them here in April.
Perry, how does it go with you guys?
That's for sure.
What is y'all schedule in Arkansas, Perry? Do you plant?
If I'm planting in March, or I'll go and plant corn first still. But again, it shouldn't take us long. If we're dry enough, we can get it done and we can plant 3,500 acres in, I don't know, with 2 planters, less than a week, 5 days probably. And then we'll roll into beans. Now, the stars have to line up. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying, but it can be done. We have the potential.
And you got such a strong team there, Perry.
And then we'll roll right into We'll ride it. It'd be nice to roll in the soybeans early April, and then that won't take long at all. And then probably rice and start the cotton late April, first week of May. Sorry.
Perry,
I'm excited to get started planting. That's really exciting, Perry. I'll be ready to go in a couple weeks.
I had to adjust some crop mixes for the cash flow. This thing looked bad.
No, how much cotton are you putting in, Perry? Have you changed it now?
I had such a good yield, and I won't steal the thunder from the show, I guess. But we made really nice cotton yield, so I had intention of doubling my acres. But now the price of cotton's so bad and it's so expensive to raise, I'll just stick with my original, or not original, my same acres I had last year, because that's how much cotton picker power I've got. And then go up right, on the corn, we'll replace that.
I keep hoping we're going to see an upswing in both corn and cotton.
It's hard to say with the tariffs and all that, and especially with the cotton. I mean, in China, that's a wild card there. I don't think the cotton has that much potential. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm really wrong.
Well, I understand. We're looking at it the same way you are.
Am I still on?
Yes. Yeah, we got you loud and clear.
I had a phone call. I didn't know what that did to this thing, but yeah.
Oh, you're good. We lost your video for a second, but we got you loud and clear.
Yeah,
Russell, are you still doing the deep injection this year?
Yeah, we're going to do the deep injection again, and I've got to go pick up my strip till rig up in Illinois at some point in time here in the next 2 weeks, and we'll play around with some of the strip till.
Perry, we got you.
Can you hear us okay, Perry?
Now, Russell, on the deep injection, what kind of program are you going to be putting with that this year?
I mean, we're going to run some of our P and our K. From what we saw last year, the same biological treatments that we were using, if we're putting them out, 3 to 4 weeks ahead of the planter, we were seeing some pretty big jumps in yield. And if you're spending the same money and just getting it out earlier and making more yield, that's making more net profit. So
yeah, it is.
We've got we've got a couple more biological products that we're going to do some plots on this year and try them out and put some numbers to it, and looking to do some different stuff on the deep injection where we're going to try to even put some of our boron, maybe a little molybdenum and some silicas in there, trying out some of these new carboxylic acids. I've got some humate products from some crazy guy I found online. Can't say his name too loudly or the nut house will come get him. But we'll try out some of these humates in with our nitrogen program and see if we're seeing any more benefit out of them than what we've been running, and run them on a few fields. So it'll be interesting to see.
I don't know. He is kind of crazy. He's come up with some really goofy ideas that have seemed to stick occasionally.
Yeah.
Perry, real quick, are you going to make any, looking at how the market's going this year and going into planting, are you changing your fertility programs?
No, I'm pretty much the same. 2 tons of poultry litter is all my pre-plant. Then nitrogen and I play with a little bit, but it's pretty much the same across every acre.
Russell,
Especially corn.
Russell, are you
and
going to change yours
corn
any?
Well, where we're doing this deep injection, I mean, we've been cutting back P and K on, what our tests have been recommending. We've been cutting that back 20-25%, and we're not seeing any drop in yield where we're banning this stuff. And we'll have probably another 5% cut over the whole farm. And then this year we've got some tests where we're going to drop P and K to 50% of what's recommended.
I've been told you can go 50%, no problem, on a ban versus a broadcast, especially
Yeah.
Hey, and I'm gonna have to get off in a minute, but I did have one question, Russell. You said something about deep injection of some boron. What's your thought there? I mean, that's something that's very leachable. I mean, you think you can make it stay around? What are you thinking?
So I think if you went with a straight boracitic acid, I think you'd have more leaching issues. But where we're looking at using this actual borate, and it's got to go through that conversion process, it sticks around a lot longer. And so that's where we're needing immediate boron needs. We're going to run a little bit, like 8 ounces of a 10% liquid in our 2x2, but long season, it's essentially we're taking Solubor, and we'll be putting that in there, and it's going to give us a little bit of time lapse before it starts going out.
Solubor, and then there's Granubor, and then of course there's a 10% bor. So
have you got to play around with
over? What'd you say? Solubor or Granubor?
Solubor.
Which one did you say you're going to use? Solubor. All right.
Solubor.
So Granubor, I forget. I've used them all in the past, but what's the difference between Solubor and Granubor?
Well,
Solubor
is the powder.
It's a powder. It's water soluble, and it turns to, I don't know what percent it is. I can't remember that.
Granular.
Wait, hold on. 7 pounds of Solubor equals 1 pound of actual boron? Is that?
That's real close, yeah.
Boy, I pulled that out of nowhere. That's been years since I thought that. Good
Yeah,
God.
I mean, we've tried Granubor, but I like the Solubor better because I can blend it up with a liquid and place it where I want it.
Yeah, if I remember right, it'll turn the water real cold when you put it in there.
Did you know that they've got a new product that's actually got boron and some potassium in it that comes pre-liquid?
Who sells that? Like
US
7
Borax.
Fuels or 5 Borax, US Borax, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've got a liquid product now.
Yeah, we demoed it out about 3 seasons ago. I've got, I don't know, probably 200 gallons of it up there in the shop, and it blends really good with everything except for 32%. If you're going to be running 32%, you got to use Solubor.
Huh. Interesting.
Does it get a little nasty?
It gets a little chunky. It's like concrete without the aggregate in it.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm gonna have to get off. I'm going to this dinner right now, so I just want to check in for a minute. Y'all have a good evening, and look forward to next week.
See you next week, Perry.
All right. Goodbye.
Thanks for being with us, Perry. Have a great night,
All
sir.
right. Y'all too. Bye.
Now,
Love
Russell, it's going to be an interesting this year, isn't it?
I tell you what, man, I think if you can find efficiencies on the farm,
Yes.
that is going to be the people at the end of this year that say I made money.
Yep.
And after spending 3 days with Ray up there in Wisconsin talking and some of the stuff we've been looking at, I can tell you right now that we're going to be using more technology this year than we have in the past, and we're going to be applying nutrients but pinching pennies at the same time.
Yep. Well, I think everybody's going to have to do that. I think this is going to be a year of change.
Well, here's my biggest thing, and I hope somebody watching this pays attention to what I'm about to tell you. The average nitrogen in the soil that we do not account for as farmers is 40 pounds in the top 6 inches and 25 pounds in the 6 to 12.
Yep.
And if you want a way to save money, because all this winter, everybody's like, how do we cut $100 out of our cost of production? Well, if you spend $2.50 an acre to run 2 Haney tests and you find 65 pounds of nitrogen, even at 70 cents a pound, you're talking over $40. Yep. And so if you can spend 2 and save 40, that right there is how you're going to make money this year.
Well, I did not realize how much was in the soil until recently when we were dealing with the product you were talking about a while ago. Yeah. And how much was available that I never knew was there.
So we have been doing some testing work and some analysis. And just on corn alone in the United States, from what we have figured up, what actual corn use is and the average yield and what farmers are putting out, we're over applying 3.7 billion pounds of nitrogen on our corn crop in the United States.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I agree entirely. Now, see, John just brought up, and this comment brings out a lot because Australia, those guys down there, and I deal with them regularly, they don't use the technology we use here. And that's something that is very shortly going to have to be almost required to be profitable.
Well, I don't know how much it costs to ship a box from Australia up here, but if John's listening, if you want to ship samples to the U.S., Lance's lab already has the APHIS certifications, and you can email their lab and you can send your soil samples over here, and all you got to do is ask them for that paper. They've already done the headache and the hard side of that work. And I know Tom Robinson and some of my buddies that are down there in South Wales, they use this technology and they send stuff up here to the States. He was actually just touring up here with Joe Williams for about 2 or 3 weeks. But no, like I said, I think that $8 corn makes everybody look good and farming easy, and we're going to find out who can make money at $4 corn.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, I mean, we keep hearing that, maybe China comes back in and Trump's making them do this phase 2 of the deal and start buying more exports. And you've got Rollins talking about, more domestic use of our product. You got Trump talking about they're going to figure out ways to have more domestic use. My biggest thing that I never knew, Brennan, was, did you know how much ethanol we bring up out of South America because they can bring it in cheaper than they can make it here?
Yep.
And from what, I think Trump's tweet the other week was kind of hard to read, but from what we've heard out of DC is essentially what that meant is they're going to start putting a tariff on that ethanol to make it cheaper for them to use what we already have here domestically. And that's going to help our use numbers, and use numbers matter more than export numbers. Yep. And they can't be influenced as much.
The Mexican ethanol, and here's the sad thing: Mexico is the number 2 user of American corn.
Yeah.
And the Mexican ethanol coming back into the U.S. using American corn shipped down there is still cheaper than what's made here.
It's that EPA regulations on how they do things. we've regulated this country to death, and that's why I'm glad to see some of this stuff getting busted up. I mean, there's growing pains. We're all going to feel them, but I'd rather it be right than
By the way, did I read right today that EPA is now backed off of Tier 4 engines, Tier 5 engines?
I heard it was up for debate, but I haven't seen if the rules have been changed.
Boy, wouldn't that knock some socks off some people and change some? See, stuff like that though would drastically change prices.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to think an emission system on a tractor they say is about 20 grand now.
Now, close on the John Deere cotton pickers is almost 100 grand.
Well, that's a big machine. I'm talking my size tractors.
Oh, well, yeah. But every little bit counts. Then you figure DEF on top of that.
Yeah.
Plus, didn't I hear some rumor mill things about jet fuel, ethanol and jet fuel? Did I hear something about that?
Yeah, that has been tested. It was actually tested by Gulfstream here in Savannah. They had a jet fly from Savannah to London, England on soy fuel, jet fuel.
You want to say hey? Say hey.
Hello.
Say hey, wave. Yeah.
Hi, Maisie.
Hey, listen, I got a little 2-year-old that needs my time, so I'll jump back on later. Say bye.
That'll work.
Say bye.
Bye. Good to see you. Thanks for being in, Russell.
You know, Seth, this year is going to be such a cool year to be covering the farms this year.
Yeah,
because
there's a lot of new things, a lot of new technology, some exciting innovation, and some, as Russell was pointing out, need to pinch the pennies for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, it is this, like Russell said, it's easy to look good at $8 corn and make money and look good at it. At $4 corn, it's going to be a totally different ball game.
Yes, sir. But I'm optimistic about what we can do with the supply-demand issues that we've had. So I'm pretty optimistic and looking forward to seeing what we can do this year.
Oh, absolutely.
I tell you what, this episode here is a pretty good testament for the innovation that these guys are bringing to the table at Top Crop. We've got Dan Lipkiss hanging out in the fields with his agronomist, Brad, the nutrient management specialist, checking out that Leaf Tech device. Have you gotten a chance to check that out, Brandon?
No, I've seen some of the video of it. I would love to be up there when they're playing with it this year and see because it looks like it really is going to be a game changer eventually.
No, I think it is. It's bringing a whole different level of management capabilities to the field, being able to see what type of nutrients are in your tissues without having to wait several days could be pretty crucial to management decisions, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Change the game. And then we got Corey Atley over in Ohio hanging out with Ag Explorer in this episode, talking about some serious technology, some PGRs, some nutrition they're putting on the crops this year to make sure they fill them all the way out and take them all the way to yield. Should be interesting.
And, you know, Ag Explorer is one of the companies that's always been at the top of their game.
You're 100% right about that. They've got an incredible team, some phenomenal agronomists. The products are just top shelf.
And, absolutely.
Really helping those crops grow to the top.
Absolutely. Well, are you ready to roll that? Are we in Dan's? That's right. We're in bean footage, that wonderful bean footage this week.
Yeah, we're in the relay crop on this too, which is a fun experiment to watch Dan do. I tell you what, the harvest episode, he ran into some challenges with harvesting the wheat before the beans, but he makes it look easy. I tell you what, it's a pretty cool story to follow throughout this season of Top Crop.
Well, you know, when it comes down to it, all of the guys make it look easy. They really do. Now,
It's true.
if people were to actually see what you see in the background and what we all see when it's being filmed,
Yeah.
they would be like, "Oh, why do they do that? That
Yeah.
would make me drink all the time, or I'd be stressed out pulling my hair."
Right.
But it's natural. They make it look good.
They make it look easy. And that's just not TV magic either. That's real life too. They make it look easy in
Yeah,
real
they
life.
do.
They just got so much experience and so much time, and they've been through so many trials and tribulations, not just with Mother Nature, but with equipment and even you were touching on tonight. Sometimes you don't mix the right thing, and it could be a bad day if you don't mix the right thing.
I have jar tested products. They say you have to jar test products. I have jar tested products, and wow, this looks good. Okay. The next thing you know, you have Jello in your tank. And
My question is, go ahead.
The sprayer operator is looking at you and saying, "Now I have to clean this out. You're fixing to help me."
Right. Yeah, my question is usually how long did it sit, and did you agitate?
Yeah, usually when it happens is right after lunch. They let it set in the tank. It has sat in the tank for an hour, and it's a hot load, and it sat there and just congealed during lunch. And they come back after lunch, and now guess what?
And what was the temperature?
Yeah. It never happens. It never happens on a 65 or 70 degree day. It happens on a 104 degree day with 100% humidity, and you're dying trying to get the thing cleaned out.
Yeah, which is lightweight, 104. That's not even touching the top of what Arkansas can do. Perry showed me last year.
I bet you about died last year out there when it was so hot and humid in those rice fields.
I lost probably at least 8 pounds every time I went to see Perry, which is a lot for me.
But now, wait a minute. Hold on. Perry's got some good restaurants just right down the road.
He does. He's got some tamales. Tamales are a good choice there. Absolutely.
Well, are you ready to roll this?
I think so.
Footage?
Let's roll that beautiful video footage. This one called Grain to Glory. Grain to Glory.
The health of our soil is going to contribute to us making money. I call it turning trash into cash.
I'm still looking for big wins.
I think it looks good.
Well, it's relay wheat time, relay beans and wheat time, I guess, get it right. So we've been talking about that, through the summer. Kind of excited about this relay bean wheat thing. We're combining it. Mixed emotions right now. It should have been done a week ago. The beans have gotten too big. We couldn't do it a week ago. We had gotten a wet pattern and just couldn't get at it. I mean, we had 2 weeks of a wet pattern anyway, I guess. So I've been worried about it. Just now able to run, the wheat's drying up. The beans are a good, they're like where I'm running right here, they're above the beans 6 inches. I've got these pusher plates, but they're not really designed for that. Some of the beans are getting around them, cutting them off. We're pushing some down. It's working, but it's not great. I'm gonna put it that way. If I could have got it when the wheat was right, like I said, a good week, 10 days ago, could have got in here, I think it would have been slicker than snot. Would have got her knocked out in a hurry, but some of the wheat after the rains too is down. It's not flat by any means, but it is overripe and crinkled down, having to run the head a little bit lower than what I would like. That also exacerbates the problems with the beans and the pusher plates. I noticed that the beans the beans are very finely stemmed because of the competition of the wheat. I mean, really fine. So it'll be interesting to see if they put on bulk. You know, they should after we get this wheat off, but it also is making them pretty darn fragile. When we're pushing down on them, occasionally breaking a few, trying to run high enough that we're not doing that. Most of the time I'm not breaking them off, but occasionally. I can see, you know, this is an experiment, and I can see maybe a few of the things we're gonna have to change. For one thing, I need my straw chopper running wider. It's only running, I don't know, we got a 25-foot head on, and now I think I'm only spreading the straw about 15 or 16 feet. I think they do make a higher speed kit for these old 7720s. I probably have to look into if I keep doing this. And heck, I don't know, I might change my row configuration around, but I'm just not sure yet. We'll have to see how these beans do, right? Because the beans are wide. You know, I'm on 60-inch centers on the beans. Those are on twin rows, so that actually means it's 50 inches from the outside of a row to the outside of the next row. And that's wide, obviously, right, for beans. But I've had a white mold problem in this field, a horrible white mold problem. And we thought, well, if we keep the rows wide, we can keep some air down through them. Theoretically, then you can't get white mold, as long as you keep air and sunshine between the rows. Now, there's a field we're going to do, and we'll show it later, where I had trouble with the wheat part, the drill. So there's a couple, you might say, test strips in there of just ultra wide row beans, because we planted the beans the same, and the plant structure and the way it's working is entirely different than in here with the wheat competition. I'm actually impressed at how well the beans have branched. Those rows are almost closed in on 60-inch centers, and it looks, I mean, they look phenomenal. Just the way you want a bean plant to look. It's, nodes are close, branching heavily. So that's kind of a test strip. It might be kind of a accidental test strip to see if that cures white mold in that scenario, just because we aren't keeping air down between the rows and sunlight for a lot longer than you would, you know, in a 30-inch row configuration. And the way they look right now, I don't see where there'd be hardly any yield difference between them and 30s, but we'll see.
Another thing that we're doing, the sugars, octane. We got to have that sugar. We got to have the kelpine for the stress mitigation. And then the big one, something we found out just 2 years ago, we've been toying with, and we found it consistent. Onward Max, 6.5 ounces. And let me tell you, the trials that we ran with that, there's a reason why it's going on every single acre of our corn.
Making some applications to some cotton, so we've got a product from Fish Head fish manure. We use a lot of manures around the farm for fertility, and I know the fish manure has a lot of added benefits. We're gonna put it in one of our mixes. It's an organic soil conditioner, and we're gonna use it at foliar at 20 ounces to the acre. We're gonna do it twice. We're really looking forward to this more food for the biology. Get it irrigated in. We're looking forward to some good results.
Welcome back to season 2 of Top Crop. It is July 15th. We're gonna go look at some corn here right before we bring in the airplanes. We got some special guests here today. First one, my son Austin. He's the top scout. And then we got Gunny from Ag Explorer and John from Ag Explorer. And then me. All right, so let's go check out some corn. Normally, when we've been as hot and dry that we've been, you'll see a lot of different, you know, what we call like zipper ears, or different things like that, where there's kernels just everywhere. They're not in the formation or where it was 20 or 18 and then said, screw this, I'm going down to 16. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that. I mean, that for the amount of heat and water, or the lack of water that we've had, I was really expecting to see some crazy looking ears.
So Corey, when you think about it, walking through here, we walked through what, 48 end rows?
76.
76. I was going to say, my gosh, when are you going to quit planting end rows here, Corey? So as we got into it, I've noticed in like every stalk out here has got 2 ears set, right, consistently. And I pulled back some of the second ear, and you got a nice second ear coming. And if we can maintain that and we can drive that ear and finish that ear off, you got one heck of a crop coming this year. But you know, it's that early season technology that you run, Corey, that is allowing that to not see that zipper ear, not seeing that stress. You know, your big thing now that you want to manage is you want to finish pollination strong. You know, it's still pollinating. We're all going to be sticky when we walk out of this
I mean,
field,
you can
right?
just see only about half of that ear.
Yep.
So we still got all that to go, and weather's in our favor now.
It is.
With the cold front coming, cooler nights, and
After this, we want to prevent that tip back. And when you put that Onward Max on it, that's exactly what it's going to do, is work on that prevention of tip back. And it's going to set those extra 2-3 rings around at the end, right? On every single ear. That's a big piece of it, is that late season stress mitigation. So
delay the onset of early maturity.
exactly, exactly. One thing that you do and do well, Corey, is you manage a crop from start to finish, from everything you do from the foundation phase, from combine to planter, into that establishment phase, getting that crop up and getting it going, and that early architecture, which the industry calls vegetative stage. You know, you're putting stress mitigation and technology on to help ear development like that. Things you did from V3 to V5 result in that number of kernels around. And then that next stage, get into reproduction, where we're at today, and then our following stage after this is going to be maturity. And you're putting the icing on this cake, right, to help manage this storm that's coming of Mother Nature's curveballs that she's going to throw at us. So,
You know, I always said the best year that we'll have on corn is the years I'm flirting with the drought. But I got to have heat. And normally what comes with heat, 90-degree temperatures and stuff, is normally drought. I just kind of go hand in hand.
Yep.
You know, we can have water, but normally we have cloudy days. Like last year, we had plenty of rain, but I didn't have sunlight.
yep,
And sunlight's a driver of high yield corn.
big time.
So this year I've had the sunlight, I've had the heat units. Haven't had the rain, but I've had enough. And we done, I feel like, a good enough job of managing it that it doesn't show. It's not showing. One thing though, okay, this 6618, this is a big, huge plant, all right? Look at it. Does it look like a big, huge plant? Walking out here, I thought I was in that short stature corn.
Right.
You know, it's not that much taller. So when we was hot and dry for that month and a half, look what it did. You know, we talk about node spacing on beans. Look at the node spacing on this corn.
Stacked right up, isn't it?
It's just stacked. So what does that mean now that we're in the R stages, the reproductive, for this ear? A lot less distance to travel to relocate the nutrients to this ear. That's the whole point behind short stature corn. Mother Nature kind of did this for us this year by holding the corn back. It was still growing because it didn't have an option to grow. It didn't want to grow, but we didn't stretch it out. You always see those years where you have a bunch of rain and that corn's just really tall, the air placement's up here, you're yanking down on it. Look, that to me is a beautiful corn plant. And I think that is a big driver why you're seeing so many second ears out here, because it doesn't have so far to travel to relocate the plant's nutrients. I mean, that is almost a picture of maize right there. In the past 3 years, we're 365 GDUs behind schedule. So that is one of our concerns here. You know, if we don't have solar, we don't have GDUs, we don't have photosynthesis, we don't have energy into that plant. So that's where, when you guys approached about Architect and being able to add that on at that V5 time frame, I was really excited for it. Definitely looks like it's doing its job here. I'm excited to take it to yield and see if we can't get it on every acre next year.
So this is Holganix with deep injection. This is Holganix with dry over the top. And it should be 18 rows to the next flag. And this is our Holganix with dry fertilizer broadcast.
The plant health is definitely better. We're seeing the first lower leaf is starting to stress a little bit. Here we might have been 1 or 2 leaves below the ear leaf that's already started to drop off and brown up. So I mean, the crop stress is a lot less where we had the Organics.
Okay, top crop. It's July 14th right now. Yesterday we did some of our relay wheat bean combining. We got frickin' rained out. I only got like 30 acres done out of 115 I think I have. Beans are getting too big, it's gonna be a problem. But sometimes you discover stuff kind of by accident or things that, you know, you weren't really expecting. So I want to show something that here. So I had trouble, we're finishing up in the rain when I was planting the wheat last fall, right? And I lost a chain on I had like a round to go, didn't know I lost the chain. So half of the drill was not planting wheat, but still planting the other half in the configuration. This spring I went into and planted the beans just like the wheat was here. I thought, well, we'll have a little test strip on wide row beans. So what you got going on here, this looks like one big row, right? Look down through here. This looks like a big row. That looks like a big row. That's actually a twin row, 10 inches apart, just planted with a drill, okay? So I'm just gonna call it basically a twin row. But see, we are at 60 inches center to center, 50 inches from row to row. We are canopying down there. What I'm kind of seeing here is the plant structure we can achieve by doing this. This is something I kind of like. I like the way it's looking. I actually think I might use some of this just in real field scenarios where I think I might have maybe a white mold problem or something to keep the canopy actually open more longer, which I know that's opposite of what we normally say, but in a white mold situation, that's what you need to do. So what I want to show is I'm going to pull a plant here, okay? I didn't worry about snapping the roots off, but this is one of those plants. Okay, so this is a normal, you know, what I really like seeing is how close the nodes are. Seeing how close the nodes are? They start elongating up here a little bit, but that's good when you got a good solid base and it's branching. These are already starting to pod. Now what I'm gonna go grab is one of the bean plants that are in the relay system, and they're the exact same beans, planted the exact same time, same day, same swath even. So I'm going to show you the difference in the plant structure. Relay without relay. This has had to deal with the wheat competition, right? Very spindly stalk or stem. Hoping that once this wheat gets off here, if we can ever get it off, those will get bigger. But the problem is they're trying to get up past the wheat, so its nodes are longer. You actually can see actual height. This one's obviously quite a bit taller. This has the competition. So, but isn't that amazing? Planted the same day, same hybrid, the difference in those two plants. And look at how much farther along this one is. We're podding on this one, just blooming here, right? So big difference. I found it interesting. We've had enough moisture. It wasn't really moisture stressed. I would have expected these to have a little bigger stem, but they don't. That's all they got. So they need, obviously, that's what sunlight and, you know, open air does. So just wanted to kind of show that. That's part of the system. And, you know, we'll do a yield check in here too. We'll do a yield check on these ultra wide row, and then, you know, across what was in the strip cropping, or relay cropping, I should call it. So just wanted to show that part of this relay system. I would have never known this if the drill wouldn't have dropped a chain off. I wouldn't have realized these wide row beans are going to get as big and bushy as they are. I mean, I would assume they'd bush some, but man, they're really bushing. I like the way they look. So stay tuned. We'll keep you informed.
Choose your herbicide. Choose your pest protection. Choose AgVenture. The latest trait technologies featuring the power of the Enlist weed control system, plus the quality and service you know and trust. Produce more bushels with 4-Seed Enlist and PowerCore Enlist corn from AgVenture. Visit agventure.com/corn traits to get a whole farm solution with the latest corn traits.
We want the bottom canopy to be healthy with a good fungicide. We use Revitec on it. It's really going to help that bean finish off strong.
Beans are coming right along. We've used Revitec and Reviloc for our soybean fungicide, and we've used Revitec for years. Probably absent of disease just because we got the Revitec out here, but just mainly for the plant health.
We think we got a pretty good chance here to throw up a pretty big number. It'll be interesting to see. Ohio, we have very high humidity. Our dew points are always high. If we came out here and walked this bean field this morning, would we be this dry right now? No, we'd be soaking wet because of the dew. So I like spraying after a dew, not into a dew. So the dew can be on it and I can apply just a little bit of extra kit carrier because it's going to dry with it. But if I'm spraying at night and we have a heavy dew setting in, it's just like you spraying Roundup at home and then taking a garden hose right behind it and spraying it off. Is that going to be effective? No. So you have to understand your climate. You go out west, they don't know what morning dews are. You know, it's just a dry air, dry heat. So would that be the time to spray? Absolutely. Spray at night. You don't have to worry about that. So it's all depending on your climate and where you're at and how heavy of a dew you're at. I mean, a lot of people that's never been to Ohio, they don't think how hot and sticky Ohio is. But you know, we constantly have fogs in the morning. We constantly have a bunch of dew every single morning, which helps with the elastic of the plant because we do get some moisture on it even when we're not getting rain. You know, compared to that dry, no moisture, high winds all the time, they just beat and tatter these leaves on corn and soybeans. So you got to take the good with the bad. But as far as spraying into a heavy dew at night, I would caution that. When I get to 100 to 125 bushel beans, our test weight's 54, 56.
Yep.
Can you imagine what that yield would be if we could get it up to 60, 62?
That's right, because we haul weight, right?
I know.
We don't haul volume, we haul weight.
Yeah.
I want heavy beans.
I know. So, I mean, we're always looking for different tricks in the book to, you know, on corn, I think we got it figured out on how to pack in the starches on that and get that extra, you know, test weight and for that high end yield. But beans, you talk to a lot of these guys that, you know, are high yield growers and they'll tell you their test weight's only 54, 56 pounds.
Yep. That's where you got to drive. If you're going to drive that kind of yield, you got to drive that potassium weight.
So what is the potassium need for 125 bushel beans, you know?
You know, we've had the same recommendations that we've had forever when it comes to fertility recommendations. You know, we know that soybeans per bushel, they say require 50% more potassium than corn. You know, corn says 0.8 pounds per bushel and soybeans are 1.2 pounds per bushel. When you're going that high, I'm telling you, it's higher than that. When you're pushing for those kind of yields, you've got to drive it, and it's more than just what your soil can provide. You have to time the right potassium sources. I'm a big fan of potassium acetate late. That's why XR5 KSB is predominantly potassium acetate with technology to support the function of potassium inside of a plant and help mobilize it and drive it down into that pod to be able to get that test weight, that yield and test weight, fill them beans out, make them bigger.
Yep.
Right? Late season potassium doesn't physically make more pods or more beans in a pod. It takes that pod and fills it out, is what it does. So, and that's a driver. So that's why I've switched to a late season 2-pass, an R2 followed by an R4.5, R5 type time frame.
We're anywhere from R4. I've got some beans that is just full R2 getting ready to go into R3.
Yeah, they're spread out all over the place this year.
And they were all planted within 5 days.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
maturity and variety of ground and
with that heat stress, you know, it just stopped them. You know, when we went, month and a half with 90 degrees and no rain.
Did you do anything specific for the heat stress then?
Yeah, I mean, we put the kelpine on it and, you know, we tried the best for it before it got, you know, with the heat stress. And that's kind of why we're late, like on this bean field. I wanted Mother Nature to help bring it out of the stress before I did it, because the beans were hurting so bad. I was afraid anything I sprayed on it, it wasn't going to be taken up by the plant.
Right.
I mean, when you're still 90 degrees, 96 in the afternoons and 86 in the mornings, it's hard to. So July 4th, we got 1 inch and 8/10. And just yesterday, we got another 4/10.
Overnight, that storm that came through overnight.
Yeah. Well, it came here about 4 o'clock.
Okay.
In the afternoon.
Just in time to interrupt your golf game yesterday.
Yeah. But you can just tell by looking at the dirt. I mean, it's not muddy, nothing on it. We could use plenty of moisture. Well, we've been missing about every rain there is, and so we're just thankful that we get what we get.
Right.
But they're calling by Thursday. We're only supposed to be in the high like 78.
Yeah, so there's a cool front coming through for 4 or 5 days.
Yes. So that's when we're going to be hitting the corn.
Yeah.
Another thing that we're doing, the sugars, octane. We got to have that sugar. We got to have the kelpine for the stress mitigation. And then the big one, something we found out just 2 years ago, we've been toying with and we found it consistent. Onward Max, 6.5 ounces. And let me tell you, the trials that we ran with that, there's a reason why it's going on every single acre of our corn. Fungicide we're using is Veltima, because our 3rd year with it. It's been working great. There has been some tar spot already spotted in northern Ohio. Normally we've already flown all this corn, but we was able to wait until July 26th today. It's already past blister stage, starting to fill out already. Clearly we've been able to keep disease pressure away, and the Veltima should protect us all the way through the rest of the season.
Let's go! Another episode of Top Crop TV in the bag. Brandon, what did you think, sir?
When you look back at what Dan found by accident, it's amazing how just simple things, such as a breakdown on a planter, can turn into something big. Corey, how are you doing, my friend?
Corey Adley, welcome in.
You gotta excuse me. I've been sick, so just trying to get over it.
I'll tell you what, Corey, everybody's been getting it this year.
I know. I thought I dodged it all, but apparently I did not. So here we are.
So sorry, Corey. That sucks.
Now, Corey, we were talking about how the little things you find make a big difference. Did you think looking at the corn that had been through the drought where it had stacked would turn out the way it did?
Before I looked at it or when I looked at it?
When you looked at it. Or before, all right. You were probably saying a few words too many before you looked at it.
Yeah, so before I looked at it, I knew it took a pounding. I'll be honest, it's one hybrid it's an older hybrid, DeKalb 6618. It's just the old horse that it's like a war horse, just keeps on trucking, but it likes, that hotter, warmer weather. It can handle the stress. And when I went out there and looked at it that day, we started looking at all the plants and all the leaf stack. The only thing I honestly could do was just laugh, because if you knew how much I've tried to figure out how to stack nodes like that on corn, trying to figure that out, and then I see that Mother Nature did it for me, all I could do was just shake my head and laugh.
But
and then,
now if you can just learn how to recreate that every year, you'd be great.
Well, easier said than done, because some of the corn didn't fare too well. And I farm for averages.
So what did we learn from it, though?
It worked. There was a lot of spots in there 380 to 420, just completely stacked. And this was post hurricane. So I don't know if we ever got this on film or not, but even after dealing with the drought, we ended up having a forget which hurricane it was that came up through the winds, and it flattened everything. And we had an Ag Venture 117 day that was still standing, and the 6618 was still standing. And you know, I kind of made a comment about that in the episode we just watched. You know, with wind and stacking the nodes and being a tougher, stronger plant. When I said that, I never dreamed we was going to be having a hurricane in the next month or two in Ohio.
Yeah, was that Hurricane Debbie that you guys got?
Yeah. Yep.
It was Hurricane Debbie.
Yeah.
We had 18 inches of rain in 6 hours.
So south of town, we had 7 inches of rain, which really hurt our beans because they were in a drought. So they started sprouting. First rain they got, so they was sprouting inside the pods. And then you just go 5 miles north to where our shop location is and where that 6618, what we watched today was, that corn there, we only got 4 inches of rain, but they got all the wind. And when I'm telling you it knocked the tabletop flat, I'm talking tabletop flat.
I'm going to tell you what, this year for storms was probably one of the worst I've ever seen that I can ever remember for being such. It was either good or bad. Well, let me rephrase that. It was either terrible
or bad.
Or bad. I mean, there was no, we got hit by Debbie. Then right after that, we had an unnamed storm in between Debbie and Helene that did 8 inches of rain. And then we had, then of course, Russell got hit with the same thing we got hit with Helene, and it was just a nightmare. I can only imagine what you guys got hit with. All right, so we were talking earlier with Perry. What's y'all's soil temperature right now, Corey?
Well, we're starting to warm up, but I like, if I take it in the daytime, I can get 60 degrees, but I like taking it at, morning at 8 a.m. And we're still sitting around that 45, 46 degrees.
Yeah, we started corn yesterday.
Yeah, a big part of me once should have thought of, who knows, with beans. But I look at, our 14-day forecast, and the biggest thing that has stopped me is the 2 inches of rain they're calling for starting tomorrow. And that's that's a cold front rain.
Yep, that's what I was going to ask.
There's a big difference between a warm front rain and a cold front rain. And I never want my beans to, uptake a cold swig of water. Me and you might like a cold swig of water.
Doesn't do good for the plants.
Our crops don't. And just feel like we're going to be, back in my younger days, I'd be all gung-ho and chalk it up to a learning effect. But I've already done a lot of these stupid things. So,
we've had enough classes.
Yeah. So, if it don't work, why are you going to keep repeating it? So
now, Corey, I asked Perry and Russell earlier, what changes because of the way we're all looking at commodity prices and the way everything's looking right now? Are you making any changes this year with your fertility program?
Man, that's a good question. I wouldn't say on our fertility program, no changes on that, because we always have to take care and feed the crop. So it starts in the soil first. So you got to have a healthy soil before you can have a healthy plant, before you can have a healthy yield. So I don't care what the prices are. If you skimp there, you're just cutting your throat. It's I call it death by 1,000 cuts. So
and, it is hard. When you look at it. Now, we were sitting down the other day looking at this year's budget. It's extremely hard to make cuts anywhere, especially with beans. You can't cut your fungicide. You can't. It's hard cutting just about everything you do. And you just it's kind of like throwing darts at a wall to decide what you're going to do.
Well, a funny part about this is, so Dad just walked in the day and said, "Son, should we be planting more beans and corn? Should we be calling the seed dealers and making a last minute switch?" I said, "Well, Dad, funny you just said that. I just got done doing all the input charts." And I said, "We stand to make 50% more money an acre on corn at today's prices than we do on beans." And he said, "Well, I'd have never guessed that." And I said, "Well, numbers never lie. Just people lie about numbers."
That's a fact. That's a fact. And there were we talked a couple weeks ago, some guys that and we'd made some booked some corn at a price. And I was like, why? Well, now that looking at commodity prices today, I guess it wasn't such a stupid idea after all.
And I got on late and I just caught last half of the episode there, and I was reading some of the comments, and I've been seeing people about Trump, and am I a Trump supporter? Yes, but did I know what was going to happen? Absolutely. But it's just not Trump. Farmers in general suffer through Republican years. Because, well, I don't want to get too political, but there's definitely reasons why. I was hoping for something more when he addressed the Senate. I'm not going to lie, than just hang in there. We're going to be there for you. It does take a toll, and it's hurting all of our markets right now. But it's what's good for the goose has got to be good for the gander.
Well, I didn't really realize what some of the other countries, and like I said, it's like you just said a minute ago, it's kind of hard to get political, but when you look at other countries that are charging for our ag commodities going in at up to a 250% tariff.
I want that.
Yeah. How come we can't have that?
I agree, but at some point in time, we got to follow through and make this a long-term plan. And he already fought the fight once just for it to all get overturned. And, as farmers, we're sitting here being patient. And, for me, it's just frustrating. I mean, when are we going to start putting quality on a crop? Everybody on this show has to agree with me, and I'm not trying to brag, but my corn's got to be worth more than a lot of my neighbors' corn.
Well, and Corey, one of the things that really gets to me hard is you look at where our commodities are going, and we're taking for granted where our products are going. We're taking for granted. And that bothers me. We deserve better. And that's just one of the things. Hopefully it will get better. If not, some of us will become alcoholics very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, Corey. You do have better corn than your neighbors. I've been there and I've seen it. I've walked your fields. We were just in a field in that episode that proved that, I think, with the 2 ears, sometimes more on a plant. what were some of the things that you did that season? And what are you going to do to try to replicate the node stacking this coming season?
Well, Seth, if I knew how to stack nodes on corn, I would not be here right now. I can tell you that.
I mean, we know it's a thing. Are PGRs helping? What's helping with that?
Yeah, I
Anything else
mean,
besides weather?
it's a full system approach, but you got to remember everything that we did up to that point is our standard program that we treat to make the best corn crop that we can make and to stress mitigate. Now, what Mother Nature does between that, if that was a cooler, wetter year, those nodes would have been stretched. And we would have still called it a great corn crop. We'd have still walked in fields and looked up the ears and say, man, look at that. But I'm telling you, when you get to translocate nutrients at a shorter distance and you fed a crop properly, you can relocate nutrients so much faster and so much more efficient through shorter nodes than you can in stretched out nodes. It's the same reason why we focus that on soybeans. So I've got a better handle on how to stack nodes on soybeans. And honestly, I'm stacking nodes on corn. This is just something I'm probably year 3, 4, or 5 into this. I mean, this is all new territory for me, at least on trying to figure out how to do this. But do I think that's the key to unlock something special? Absolutely.
Now, Corey, what was, let's look back a little bit at the last year. Was there anything that set out that you saw that really other than the corn, that really kind of stood out and surprised you and said, just gave you like one of those moments like, aha, here's this. We did accomplish this.
Yeah. So this is going to go back to your nutrient question, right? So, me and my dad, we sometimes butt heads. Can't control it, but it is what it is. Yep. Prices were terrible. Was already in a drought. He, was trying to save some money. So he cut out the V5 passes on some of his acres. What I never dreamed happened. And where we did not spray at V5, which is a micronutrient, the kelpine, and a fungicide, and then a PGR, where we did not apply that at V5, that corn was riddled with tar spot.
Really?
Absolutely riddled. Now, from at least what I've learned in the industry, that tar spot is not within the soil or the plant that early. Well, by God, tell me why every acre you can see it. I mean, plain as day. And those are all the acres that we attacked pre-harvest because they were going to fall down on their own.
Really?
Oh, there's nothing left of them. It was a 9-day difference of tar spot. So I guess my whole thinking on this tar spot thing has really changed. I truly think it's a soil-borne fungi that we have to try to manage from the time that seed is in the ground, because our farm tried to skip a corner, and it cost us.
And that's something that you think is a great idea going into it. And I understand I've had the same conversations that you were discussing, and similar corners cut. And then when it comes to harvest time, it's a 40 bushel difference, 60 bushel difference.
You save a nickel to lose $1.
I understand that one entirely. Farming with family is always
Fun.
a challenge.
Yeah. But from the agronomy side, that one shocked me.
Now, and that is that now. So that goes back to look. Do you look at treating it in the soil side now?
Well, I've got one farm that's so upside down on diseases. I've been doing this, and Temple Roads a couple of years ago was the one that told me to try it, and we've been doing it. And it was in corn last year, and we still had the same disease, but it's getting better. So I'm going to stay with it. But yeah, we're starting to treat our high areas with our fall burn down with a fungicide.
Yeah, that's it. It's the little things like that that may sound, they may seem goofy coming into it, but in the long run, they pay off dramatically.
Are there any copper deficiencies in that tar spot soil that we checked? I heard something about the copper helping with the tar spot, and I didn't know if
So copper is a natural fungicide. So whenever your copper levels are down, you are more exposed or prone to different diseases. So if you go in the all organic world where they don't apply fungicides, they apply copper for everything. But yeah, our copper levels are A-okay. Where the tar spot hit, I mean, you could see it directly field to field, and we had fields side by side that got sprayed and didn't. And, I've already done all these tests and studies before on V5 to make it pay. That's why I recommend it, and that's why we do it. But when you see it with tar spot, it just caught me off guard. I knew we was going to lose yield, but with the input prices and with the commodity prices, that one really caught me off guard this year.
Well, I can see that happening. I mean, we've had it happen with us. We don't have, thank goodness, we do not have tar spot.
Yeah, this is your third, fourth year with it?
I'd say third that's affected. It's been around probably 5 years, but the first couple years, it was never enough to really complain about.
Yeah, I remember we saw it up north in Dan's first.
Yeah.
And it hit him hard that first year.
Yeah.
What did you think when it first hit you, Corey?
Better get a handle on this. Mainly because I had clients up in Michigan calling me.
Oh.
And the pictures and everything that I seen from them. I think me and Dr. Alice from BASF, we did a full hour-long whole program or a segment on nothing but tar spot because it scared the crap out of me. And it's what are we going to do to fix this, or how do we get a handle on it? And I've never seen something that could wipe out an entire crop just like that. And the best way that I can tell people what tar spot is, if you don't know, is you ever picked a ear of corn, right in that R2 stage, R1, just to try to get rows around row length to give you an idea. It's in that blister stage. Then or even sweet corn stage, you throw in the bed of your truck, come back a couple days later, and all the kernels are completely shriveled, where you can't even see those kernels. Well, that's tar spot, but that happens to a living plant. And It's just something you never want to see, and you hope you never have to deal with, because when it sets in, it shuts that plant off today.
Wow. See, we have southern rust. That's about as far as we go. Thank goodness we have not had tar spot. Southern rust is bad enough.
Well, I remember the scares of southern rust. I remember reading all the magazines. What was that, about mid-2000s? It was coming up here and going to wipe out all of America's grain market.
Oh, it's you know, it's funny. We have it really bad a county over, but do not have it in our county. So, you know. And now Dave said that they have been very effective with biologics.
I'm a big believer in that. Man, I was fortunate enough. Dan hooked me up with one of his guys, and we got sit down a couple weeks ago and just have a powwow in the shop, and just talking about biologics and probiotics and different things like that going in soil and the plants. And because I've been beating that drum for a long time. Just, there's a lot easier and simple ways to correct and make your plant and soil healthier.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Corey, I'm glad you came on with us tonight after Perry and Russell left, and we've had a great night. And we're gonna get out of here because somebody's got a birthday tonight. The princess has her birthday, and she needs to be taken care of.
Well, that she does.
Yes,
Happy
she
birthday!
does.
That's right. Happy birthday, princess.
We're glad you guys joined us. We thank you. We thank the sponsors that have made Top Crop TV possible.
That's right. We'd like to thank all the sponsors, all the viewers tonight, all the talent, the farmers in the show. Corey Otley, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Thanks for bringing us some incredible content for many years already so far. We're heading into another season, getting ready to plant. We had Russell tonight. We had Perry. Thank you, Brandon, for providing the StreamYard and the live stream access on Farm Life and beyond. We want to thank Ag Explorer, our presented by sponsor, BASF in association with, and all our other good sponsors. Be sure to check them out on our website. Be sure to visit our shop on the website where you can pick up some of the Top Crop merchandise, including the Top Crop crop top.
Corey, hold on. Now, Corey, when are you going to wear your crop top? Crop.
Would you like me to model that for you? We're going to lose viewership, buddy.
Yeah, that will not be featured in season 3 of Top Crop. I want to squelch all rumors about that. But Brandon will be wearing one in season 3.
Now, I think, all right, since he's not here, I say we all volunteer Russell for the job.
I'm going to say Russell right from the
I
rip.
say Russell. Over here.
The scary part is we all know he would.
Oh, I know he would. So, but we appreciate you all being with us tonight, and we'll be back here next week with another lovely episode. Corey, if you can stay just a second after we get off, I got to ask you something. Everybody else, y'all have a great night, and we will see you guys next week, same time, same place, and all the extra channels we're here. See y'all.